Number 6.
If Joe Mixon plays, I think the Texans are a handful. Their only loss came on the road to the Vikings. They had a stinker. Everybody gets a stinker. Everybody but the Chiefs gives you a stinker. Joe Mixon changes C.J. Stroud. Nico Collins out. They got to get him back. The defense with D'Amico Ryans is excellent. I think this team could get to the AFC Championship. I don't think they're quite mature enough with big game experience to beat a Kansas City. But if I was Kansas City, I wouldn't want to play them. I think this team's really good. Texans 6.
Number.
So it's interesting to have Colin phrase it that way. That's what this season is all about, is figuring out. And I've said this not exactly this way, but I made a Texans video on Monday, I believe it was. And there was a little confusion about what I was saying. Because I was talking about, before that game, I was like, I really want to see a perfect, clean game. And then the game kind of came and went, and I talked about it, and I broke it down. And I was like, hey, that was a great game, but there was still, I wanted it to be cleaner. You had the fumble snap. You had the interception and stuff like that. And most people understood what I was saying, but there was still the small minority of people who were like, what the heck? That was a great game. C.J. Stroud played great. It wasn't his fault for the interception. The fumble snap wasn't his fault. And it's like, I'm not blaming C.J. Stroud. That's not the point of the video. It's kind of to pretty much another way of me saying kind of what Colin is saying is like, this team is great. This team's got the dudes. They got the pieces. They got the coaches. They got the culture. They got the quarterback, right? They got it. That should be the tagline for the Texans. They got it, right? But they are a little bit younger, and they do need to clean up some of those things. And I understand some of those things can be flukes, right? Like having it go off the shoulder pads or whatever, off the hands and be intercepted. And those things happen throughout the course of a season. But this is what I'm really keep trying to emphasize. And I was having conversations with people in the comments on that video being like, you can't get away with that in the playoffs, right? You can't get away with that in the playoffs, especially against a team like the Chiefs, for instance, right? They will make you pay. So that is what this season is about, is completely cleaning that stuff up so you don't have to try to figure out how to overcome that in a big game, right? Because that is part of the problem. If you're more dominant and you're really running up the score on teams, then maybe you can get away with it, but that will most likely be unlikely versus, say, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and maybe any of the other teams that are in the playoffs for the AFC. So again, evaluating the Texans for me has always consistently been, what do they have to do to truly solidify themselves as not only an AFC contender or just an NFL contender for that matter, Super Bowl contender, but a winner, right? Because it's like Colin is saying essentially, in Colin's view, he's pretty much saying, I think the ceiling is like an AFC championship game, right? And he's not saying that directly or trying to put, a cap on them, but he's saying essentially, hey, I think they AFC championship is their ceiling. And I'm kind of like, that to me in a lot of ways should be their floor. They're good enough where the expectation is that's their floor. What do you have to do throughout this season to ensure that you win that AFC championship game? And then if you lose it, it's because you lost, and it was because the Chiefs absolutely just continue to show everyone, we are the Kansas City Chiefs. We are a dynasty. We got Andy Reid. We got Patrick Mahomes. This is our era. This is our time, right? It would be a tough loss versus another team. Maybe the Ravens, right? If Lamar Jackson just finally is just like, this is my year now. This is, Mahomes was winning all this time and the Chiefs were, and now it's my time. Like, I guess I would be okay with that. But certainly if they lose to any other team, it would be like, well, how did the Bills leapfrog you? How did, I don't even know. The Colts, I don't think it's going to be the Colts, but any of these other random AFC teams, the Steelers or something, that would be, right, very, very upsetting. So to me, whenever time we go through all these rankings, it's always hard because obviously it's, going into week 7 and all of that, but I'm still always looking at this through the lens of, what do these teams look like in the playoffs? And that's ultimately how I then try to reach my conclusion of how good do I think this team is, right? Come time the playoffs, when it's time to go toe-to-toe with the Ravens, with the Chiefs, with whoever, What do they look like? Who do I think is going to win that game? And when it comes down to it is like, I believe in the Texans, but do I believe in their ability to play a clean enough game? Again, that's what this season is all about. Cleaning it up, right? Not having a tip interception versus the Patriots. Not having, I think there was a missed field goal as well. Not having a weird snap, a miss communication with a snap, right? Like it's not having those things. And it's not that those things are the worst things or that you have to harp on them or say, oh my God, this means the Texans are awful. What are they doing? That was a bad game. It's not a matter of that. It's just don't sweep those things. I see a lot of fans wanting to sweep those issues under the rug because like, hey, we won. It was a big game. We were on the Patriots. We're doing great. It's 4-1. And it's like, yeah, if your expectations are, hey, we are a great team and I hope we play some good games in the playoffs, that's fine. But if your expectations are, because better believe that during practices and during meetings and stuff, they're talking about it. They're saying, we can't have this. We can't. I promise you, that's what the coaches are saying to the team right now. That is what they're saying to the players. Guys, we can't have this. We can't have these mishaps, right? Like some of these things are going to happen throughout the course of the season, but we have to minimize it. We absolutely have to minimize it. And I just want to see this team ultimately, if they're going to lose, I want it to be because the other teams were just ready to play. They're just a better team, right? The Chiefs just have been there a million times, and that's why. I don't want this season to go away from them in the sense where we could have got to the Super Bowl. We could have done that, but we beat ourselves. That's what happened to the Lions versus the 49ers last season, right? They beat themselves. I am a firm believer in that. They absolutely beat themselves. The 49ers did not beat the Lions in that regard. The 49ers beat themselves. And quite frankly, it may have cost them the Super Bowl. There's great reason to believe that the Lions would have been well better suited to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. We saw them beat them in the regular season. And the 49 and the Detroit Lions were really hot. They beat themselves. You don't want to be there with that. And like I said also in my previous video, you want to be the 2022 Eagles, not the 2023 Eagles. 2022 Eagles had everything taken care of. I know they lost in the Super Bowl, but they still played great, and they had everything taken care of. In 2023, they kept winning and had some nice moments, but there was big issues that were festering that then got to the best of them near the end of the season. Again, I'm not saying that's the Lions trajectory. That's the Texans trajectory. I'm not saying that the Texans are on a one-way path to collapsing. That's not at all what I'm saying. So make no mistake about it. I'm just trying to use a couple examples to emphasize that that's why it's important to try to get cleaner games now, to figure this stuff out now. I'm not demanding perfection or saying that they need to be perfect in order to be considered great, but it's just, for me, I look at the Texans and have such insanely high expectations for them. And it's just like, it's almost like a begging and a pleading, like, take care of these things. Take care of it in weeks 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Start to play your best football in weeks 10, 11, 12 onward into the playoffs. And you can very well find yourself beating the Ravens, beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, getting to the Super Bowl. And then there you go, man. Then it's just one more game and you're literally hoisting the Lombardi trophy. Like, I think it's genuinely there. So I'm not going to cap it like Colin is saying, where he's just saying this is an AFC Championship game. But at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to be able to pull it off. I'm like, no, you can pull it off. Just figure this stuff out now. Double down. Lock into the details. Just lock in. Lock in, lock in, lock in. And then who knows? But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Houston Texans being ranked 6th? Do you think that's too high? Do you think that's too low? What do you think about Colin's kind of ceiling on them in terms of just an AFC Championship game? So I guess at best, top 4 team, can reach the top 4. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.